For centuries, we have seen the Sahara as a vast, lifeless canvas of sand and rock, a desolate monument to nature's harsh indifference. But what if this perception, deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness, has been meticulously crafted to conceal a truth far more profound than we ever imagined? A truth whispered not by the wind, but by the very earth itself, buried deep beneath the shifting dunes. Tonight, we journey into this silence, seeking echoes of what was, and pondering what could be. So settle in, find your comfortable space, and allow the gentle hum of forgotten history to lull you into a realm of wonder, as we begin to uncover a secret that could rewrite the story of humanity. Imagine the Sahara Desert. The very name evokes images of an almost alien landscape, endless vistas of sun-baked stone, towering dunes that migrate like slow-motion waves, and a silence so profound it seems to swallow sound itself. For generations, this immense expanse has been a symbol of ultimate desolation, a vast emptiness on the world's map, a region so hostile it appears to defy the very notion of sustained human life. Its vastness alone, stretching across 10 nations, dwarfs many continents, a natural titan of sand and rock that has long been considered an impenetrable frontier. Indeed, for much of recorded history, the Sahara has been viewed not merely as a challenging terrain, but as an impassable barrier. A colossal, natural wall dividing continents, isolating cultures, and absorbing any trace of sustained human endeavor into its unforgiving embrace. Conventional wisdom suggests that only nomadic, ephemeral tribes could ever hope to survive here, their fleeting settlements leaving little more than a whisper on the wind, quickly erased by the relentless march of time and sand. But what if this widely accepted narrative, this seemingly unshakable understanding of the Sahara, is incomplete? What if, beneath its shimmering, hostile surface, lies a secret far grander, far more complex, than simple nomadic wanderings? What if the desert, in its silent, patient way, has been guarding a monumental truth for millennia? Recent murmurs from the scientific community, faint at first, then growing into an undeniable chorus, suggest something truly astonishing. Hints of order, patterns of design, indications of a scale of construction utterly at odds with the perceived history of this barren land. These are not just scattered rocks, but formations that suggest deliberate, ancient human handiwork. Not a mere encampment, but something far more structured. Something that begins to resemble a city. Such initial findings, often dismissed as geological curiosities or natural formations by some, have others pondering a radical possibility. Could these faint impressions, these subtle anomalies detectable from above and below the surface, be the very first signatures of a lost urban center? The idea itself feels almost sacrilegious to conventional archaeology, forcing us to question the very definition of habitable and civilized in ancient contexts. Some speculate these are early signs of a highly adaptable, unknown civilization that somehow mastered an environment thought to be insurmountable. Others wonder if these hints imply a different past for the Sahara itself, a past that defies our common knowledge of a relentless desert. If these whispers of geometry and purpose truly emanate from human hands, how could such an ambitious undertaking have ever been conceived, let alone executed, in a place we always believed to be utterly devoid of such capabilities? What untold story does this initial, baffling discovery begin to write? The very notion of a city in the Sahara confronts our deepest assumptions about geography and history. But perhaps, our understanding of the Sahara itself has always been incomplete, viewed through the narrow lens of its most recent, arid past. For many, the Sahara is eternally a desert, a constant state of desiccation. But scientific research has long revealed a far more dynamic past, a cyclical transformation known as the Green Sahara period. Thousands of years ago, this vast region was not the desiccated landscape we know today. Instead, it teemed with life, sprawling savannas, lush grasslands, vast lakes, and mighty rivers carving their way across the land. An ecosystem vibrant enough to support abundant wildlife, from gazelles to crocodiles, from hippos to elephants, and crucially, significant human populations. Mainstream archaeological understanding of this Green Sahara period acknowledges the presence of early human activity. Evidence points to hunter-gatherer societies, early pastoralists tending their herds across fertile plains, and fishing communities thriving along ancient lake shores. These were adaptable peoples, carving out a living in a changing environment, leaving behind rock art depicting their world, tools, and occasional hearths. Their existence is fascinating, a testament to human resilience, but generally framed as pre-urban, decentralized, and lacking the organizational complexity of established cities found in river valleys like Mesopotamia or the Nile. But the sheer scale of the discovery now emerging from beneath the Sahara's modern sands seems to defy these conventional assumptions. This is not merely evidence of scattered nomadic groups or small villages, as might be expected even in a green Sahara scenario. The initial signatures suggest something far more substantial, far more planned, than mere temporary settlements. It speaks of extensive urbanism, of a population density and infrastructural investment that pushes the boundaries of what was previously thought possible for human societies in any green Sahara context. The organized patterns, the echoes of deliberate construction on a grand scale, challenge the notion that urban development was confined solely to specific riverine cradles of civilization during those eras. Could it be that the Green Sahara period harbored not just simple communities, but complex, advanced civilizations, flourishing unrecorded by history? Some researchers are now speculating that this hidden city represents a forgotten chapter, a lost Sahara Atlantis, thriving during a time when the desert was green and fertile. They propose that we may have vastly underestimated the capabilities of ancient peoples, and that environmental transformations might have merely swallowed, rather than prevented, their monumental achievements. Theories range from a highly sophisticated society that managed to harness the region's resources in ways we are only beginning to comprehend, to the tantalizing idea that this civilization might have had connections or influences from other advanced cultures, now lost to us, pushing forward an urban development timeline previously unknown. If the Sahara was once a cradle for such an advanced urban society, hidden away for millennia, what does this imply about the broader timeline of human progress? And what other monumental secrets might the sands still hold, waiting for their moment to reveal themselves and fundamentally alter our understanding of our own past? The unveiling of this city, shrouded in the Saharan enigma, compels us to reconsider not just the desert's past, but humanity's potential for civilization in unexpected places and times. It beckons us to look beyond the obvious, to listen to the faint whispers of history carried on the wind, and to challenge every assumption we hold dear. So, let the gentle current of discovery carry you further. Allow your mind to wander through the veiled landscapes of time, as we prepare to delve deeper into the astonishing secrets emerging from beneath the Sahara. The journey ahead promises to be as tranquil as it is profound, as we seek to understand the architects of this impossible city, and the forces that ultimately reclaimed it. Rest now, as the story unfolds layer by hidden layer. The whispers carried by the sands for millennia began to solidify into echoes, not through traditional excavation, but through new eyes looking down from above. For much of human history, the Sahara has been a vast, enigmatic canvas, its secrets guarded by shifting dunes and an unforgiving sun. Yet, in our modern era, technology grants us vision beyond the visible, allowing us to peer beneath the Earth's surface, discerning patterns that speak of forgotten times. It was through these new instruments, the silent sentinels of satellite imagery, and the probing gaze of ground-penetrating radar, that the first true signatures of something utterly unexpected began to etch themselves onto our understanding. These initial probes were not seeking a city. Rather, they were part of broader geological and climatic studies, mapping ancient riverbeds and searching for long-lost water sources. What they uncovered, however, defied immediate explanation. Beneath hundreds of feet of sand, where only barren rock or sporadic ephemeral streams were anticipated, a geometric regularity emerged. Faint yet undeniably present, were outlines that seemed to contradict every natural process known to shape the desert floor. Anomalous patterns, linear features extending for improbable distances, and clustered arrangements that hinted at an underlying order rather than random geological happenstance. These were not the winding imprints of ancient river systems, nor the chaotic fractures of bedrock. They were something else entirely. Something deliberate. For generations, our understanding of early human habitation in the Sahara has been shaped by a narrative of transience, of adaptation to a harsh, shifting environment. Mainstream archaeology has painted a picture of early Saharan life dominated by nomadic pastoralists, their settlements temporary, their structures ephemeral. Small groups, following the seasonal rains, establishing camps for a few years or even a few decades before moving on, leaving behind only scattered hearths, simple tools, and the occasional burial mound. This view, supported by decades of careful excavation on the surface, postulates that the unforgiving nature of the desert, even during its greener phases, precluded the development of large, sedentary populations or complex urban centers. Life was a constant negotiation with the landscape, a mobile existence shaped by resource scarcity and climatic flux. The sheer logistical challenge of sustaining a large population in such an environment was considered insurmountable for ancient peoples without access to advanced technologies for water management and resource transport. But what began to emerge from the digital shadows was something far grander, far more organized, than any nomadic encampment could ever achieve. The ground-penetrating radar, in particular, revealed anomalies that were simply too vast, too intricate, and too regularly spaced to be natural. Imagine the subsurface as a canvas, and these new instruments as brushes revealing hidden layers of paint. What appeared was not a blur, but distinct strokes, forming an image that challenged every preconceived notion. The scale and organization of these subterranean patterns utterly defied the conventional thinking about early Saharan societies. We are not speaking of a single structure, or a cluster of dwellings, but rather an expansive network. The sheer density of these hidden features, the evident planning in their arrangement, suggested a population far exceeding that of a temporary settlement, hinting at a settled society with needs for infrastructure and communal organization. Upon the first observations, a natural skepticism arose within the scientific community. Could these be mere geological curiosities? Random rock formations, perhaps ancient lava flows or peculiar erosion patterns that, by sheer coincidence, mimicked artificial structures? The desert, after all, is known for its fantastical geological formations. Early speculative theories often leaned towards these natural explanations, attempting to fit the puzzling data into known geological models. Perhaps ancient, dried lakebeds with unusual sediment deposits, or even massive fossilized dune structures, could account for some of the linearity. Yet, as the data accumulated, and as repeat scans from different angles and technologies consistently revealed the same underlying geometry, the geological explanations began to unravel. The sheer regularity, the repetition of certain structural motifs, and the orthogonal intersections of features were simply too precise, too uniform, to be the product of random natural forces. Nature, in its grandeur, can create wonders, but rarely does it lay out perfectly straight lines extending for miles, or arrange features in what appear to be symmetrical grids. The growing consensus among a subset of researchers became increasingly daring. These were not natural phenomena, but the indelible marks of intentional construction. If this truly represents an urban center, then our understanding of when and where cities first arose must be radically rewritten. The accepted timelines for urban development typically place the birth of cities in fertile river valleys, the cradle of Mesopotamia, the banks of the Nile, the Indus Valley. These regions offered abundant water, fertile land for agriculture, and natural communication routes, all deemed essential for the transition from nomadic hunter-gatherer societies to complex, sedentary urban civilizations. The discovery of an extensive urban footprint beneath the seemingly barren Sahara challenges this foundational premise, suggesting an alternative, and perhaps much older, narrative of human ingenuity and societal organization. It implies that complex civilization could have flourished in places and under conditions we previously thought impossible, at a time when the world was believed to be far less developed. And these initial hints were not just about scale. They spoke of sophisticated design. The first glimpses into this hidden world revealed what appeared to be the faint outlines of main thoroughfares, intersecting at clear junctions. There were areas of higher density, suggesting residential districts, and larger, open spaces that could have served as public plazas or ceremonial grounds. Some linear features seemed to extend with purpose, perhaps hinting at ancient walls or even sophisticated irrigation channels designed to capture and distribute precious water across an expansive area. The echoes of a deeply considered urban plan, a deliberate arrangement of space, were beginning to emerge from the digital noise. Could it be that thousands of years ago, a culture we have no record of, developed the foresight and engineering prowess to lay out a city of such magnitude in such a challenging environment? The tantalizing patterns beneath the dunes presented a profound mystery. If these are indeed the skeletal remains of a lost city, then the very foundations of our understanding of ancient human history are poised for a radical shift. What level of technology, what form of societal organization, what vision allowed for the creation of such an extensive, meticulously planned settlement in a landscape now synonymous with desolation? If the earliest seeds of civilization were not, as once thought, exclusively sown in the fertile crescents of Mesopotamia or the river valleys of the Indus, then where else might they lie hidden, awaiting the gaze of these new, technological eyes? Building on those first compelling hints of sophisticated design, the geophysicists and archaeologists began to piece together a more complete picture of what lay beneath the endless sand. What emerged from the layers of data was not merely a collection of isolated structures, but the stunning blueprint of an entire metropolis, spread across an impossibly vast expanse. The advanced mapping techniques, utilizing an array of remote sensing technologies, revealed patterns that were undeniably artificial, strikingly regular, and on a scale that defied easy comprehension. Here, beneath the shifting dunes, was a meticulously planned urban sprawl, a grid of broad avenues intersecting with smaller streets, distinct residential quarters, what appeared to be public plazas, and even larger, more complex structures that hinted at administrative or ceremonial functions. The sheer organizational complexity, stretching for miles, was an anomaly. For generations, the conventional understanding of urban genesis has placed the cradles of civilization firmly in the fertile river valleys. We have been taught of Mesopotamia, with its Tigris and Euphrates, the Nile Valley, and the Indus River Basin, as the natural birthplaces for the first great cities. Here, abundant water and fertile land allowed agriculture to flourish, populations to coalesce, and settled life to give rise to complex societies. The gradual development of city planning, often emerging organically from smaller settlements, is a cornerstone of this accepted historical narrative. But there is a profound problem with applying this model to the city now being unveiled beneath the Sahara. This was not a slow, organic agglomeration of villages. The evidence suggests a premeditated design, a grand vision laid out from the very beginning, in an environment that, even in its greener past, would have presented immense challenges to sustaining such a dense population. The city beneath the sand appears to have been built as a city, rather than simply growing into one, and its location seems impossibly far from the established hotspots of early urban development. This raises profound questions, opening doors to truly speculative ideas. Could this be the signature of a forgotten Sahara Atlantis, not a mythical island, but a thriving desert civilization lost to the sands of time? Some researchers believe the level of planning indicates a highly advanced, centralized authority, perhaps even a society far beyond our current understanding of ancient capabilities. Theories range from a previously unknown golden age of engineering, where urban design principles were intuitively understood, to the concept of a master plan handed down, or even inspired by a culture yet to be identified. What if the blueprints for sophisticated urban living existed long before our history books record them, perfectly adapted for environments we now deem hostile? How did such a meticulously planned vision manifest itself in this challenging environment? And who are the masterminds behind such an audacious undertaking? As the digital maps grew more detailed, the nature of the city's architecture began to emerge, not just as outlines, but as intriguing possibilities. The detected structures showed more than just walls. There were indications of distinct architectural styles, perhaps multi-story buildings, and a striking precision in the alignment of streets and districts. Imagine colossal public buildings, perhaps even towering structures, their foundations still echoing through the ground-penetrating radar. This suggested an advanced understanding of construction, an aesthetic sensibility, and an ambition that seems to leapfrog centuries of accepted architectural progression. The mainstream archaeological understanding of early ancient architecture suggests an incremental evolution. Early urban structures, though impressive for their time, were typically functional, often built with local materials and relatively simple blocky forms. Precision in construction, complex structural engineering, and sophisticated aesthetic integration are generally associated with much later civilizations, flourishing after millennia of experimentation and refinement. Even the impressive structures of early dynastic Egypt or Sumer often reveal evidence of gradual development in their building techniques. But the implied sophistication of the Sahara city's architecture challenges this gradualist view. The uniformity in structural integrity, the apparent geometric harmony, and the sheer scale of the presumed public works suggest a society with an innate or acquired mastery of engineering and design that feels anachronistic. It's as if they skip several steps in the conventional timeline of architectural development, arriving at a level of refinement that should have taken many more centuries to achieve. The building methods, whatever they were, appeared to have been robust enough to resist the crushing weight of millennia of sand. This pushes the boundaries of conventional thinking into the realm of the truly extraordinary. Alternative theories posit a lost architectural tradition, perhaps employing materials or techniques that we no longer recognize or understand. Could their knowledge of geometry have been far more advanced than we currently believe possible for such an era? Some speculate on unique building compounds, perhaps incorporating a form of ancient concrete, or even an understanding of geology that allowed them to source and shape stone with unparalleled efficiency. What if their architectural prowess was tied to a profound, intuitive grasp of their environment, enabling them to build structures that were both resilient and remarkably efficient, leveraging principles we are only now beginning to rediscover? What secrets of construction and design did this civilization possess that allowed them to build with such apparent foresight and durability, creating structures that would seemingly defy the very sands of time? A city of this size and density, particularly in a location that is now the world's largest hot desert, presents an even more fundamental enigma. How did they sustain themselves, especially with regard to water? The very existence of such a large-scale urban center here, even during a green Sahara period, demands an explanation for advanced water management. The mapping hints at intricate systems, subterranean conduits, vast cisterns, and perhaps even deep wells or channels designed to capture and distribute water across the sprawling metropolis. This wasn't merely a survival strategy. It was the foundation of their ability to thrive. The mainstream understanding of water management in early civilizations focuses on direct access to natural sources. Early agricultural societies developed rudimentary irrigation from rivers or managed seasonal floods. Oases supported smaller, isolated settlements. While impressive for their time, these systems were typically localized and dependent on readily available surface water, primarily for agriculture and basic sustenance, not for sustaining a vast, complex urban population far from major perennial rivers. The engineering required to supply water to a truly large city in an arid or semi-arid zone has generally been seen as a later innovation, developing alongside more complex state-level societies. But the sheer scale of the city beneath the Sahara implies a population density that would have put immense strain on resources, even during periods of increased rainfall. The sophisticated infrastructure detected suggests a deliberate, large-scale, and highly engineered effort to harness, store, and distribute water, far exceeding simple opportunistic reliance on seasonal rainfall or shallow, ephemeral wells. It speaks of a civilization that did not merely adapt to its environment, but actively reshaped it, bending its natural limitations to their will. This level of hydrological engineering, if proven, would fundamentally rewrite our understanding of ancient capabilities. This pushes us to consider truly radical possibilities. Could this civilization have tapped into vast subterranean aquifers, discovering and utilizing ancient water tables with technologies unknown to us? Some alternative theories suggest they might have mastered techniques of atmospheric water harvesting, drawing moisture from the air in ways we are only now beginning to explore with modern science. What if they had an intricate system of underground aqueducts, fed by distant, now lost springs or even ancient rivers that ran deep beneath the surface? Others speculate about a profound, perhaps even spiritual, understanding of the Earth's hidden hydrological systems, allowing them to divine and access sources of life-giving water where we see only barrenness. The very survival of this city hinges on a form of resourcefulness that borders on the miraculous. How did a civilization not just survive, but flourish in such an unforgiving environment, mastering the very element that today defines the desert's hostility? And what forgotten knowledge allowed them to achieve such a feat? Beyond the bricks and mortar, the roads and water systems, the detailed mapping of the urban sprawl allows us to begin a tentative reconstruction of the daily life, culture, and social structures of this lost civilization. The clear delineation of districts, residential zones, what appear to be commercial hubs, administrative centers, and possibly even dedicated public or ceremonial spaces, paints a picture of a highly organized society. This was not a chaotic gathering of people, but a community with defined roles, shared spaces, and perhaps even a structured system of governance. Mainstream archaeological interpretations of early urban societies often highlight the emergent hierarchies and divisions of labor that accompanied settled life. Yet, explicit evidence of highly specialized, formally planned districts, beyond perhaps a central temple complex or a ruler's palace, is often the result of centuries of development and cultural evolution. Early cities often grew organically, with societal structures evolving alongside their physical footprint. The level of social complexity inferred from the precise urban planning is usually associated with later, fully developed state-level societies. But the city beneath the Sahara presents a pattern of organization that suggests an already mature, highly structured society at its inception. The consistency of its urban plan implies a social contract, perhaps a set of laws or customs, that dictated its growth and function. This was a society where collective effort was clearly paramount, where different segments of the population likely had specific roles within the intricate machinery of urban life. It speaks of a profound social sophistication, possibly far exceeding that of their conventionally recognized chronological peers. This leads to fascinating, if purely speculative, alternative theories regarding the nature of their society. Some researchers envision a highly collaborative, perhaps even utopian, civilization where resources and labor were pooled for the common good, leading to such impressive public works. Others consider a highly stratified system, where a ruling elite commanded immense power to orchestrate such a monumental undertaking. Could it have been a bustling mercantile hub, strategically positioned on ancient trade routes now lost? Or perhaps a spiritual or intellectual center, drawing pilgrims and scholars from across a verdant Sahara? What if the culture that built this city possessed a unique form of governance, rooted in principles we have yet to fully comprehend, fostering a sense of collective purpose that manifested in their magnificent urban design? What kind of people inhabited this impossible city? What were their beliefs? And what stories might their daily lives and social order tell us about the true, hidden potential of ancient human civilization? Having mapped the city's vast layout, explored its intricate urban planning, and speculated on the daily rhythms of its long-vanished inhabitants, our journey now plunges deeper. We move from the form of this impossible metropolis to the very substance of its creation, to the materials and methods that brought such a grand vision into being beneath the Saharan sands. For within the very fabric of its structures, a new layer of baffling questions emerges, challenging the bedrock of our understanding of ancient technology. Archaeologists have painstakingly excavated sections of walls, foundations, and monumental structures, revealing an array of construction materials that are, to put it mildly, deeply perplexing. We find evidence of colossal stone blocks, cut with an almost impossible precision, and yet, interwoven with these are substances that defy easy classification. Some appear to be composite materials, incredibly hard and lightweight, bearing a sheen unlike any natural rock, seemingly cast or molded rather than carved. Others exhibit a metallic luster, yet resist conventional analysis, showing no signs of known ancient alloying processes. These are the anomalous findings, the stubborn facts that sit uncomfortably with established narratives. The mainstream understanding of ancient construction is built upon a foundation of gradual technological development. We believe that early civilizations, brilliant as they were, worked primarily with readily available natural materials, granite, limestone, sandstone, basalt, shaping them with tools of increasing hardness, from copper and bronze to iron. Methods evolved slowly, quarrying with wedges and levers, shaping with chisels and hammers, moving massive stones with immense human and animal labor, aided by ramps and rollers. Precision, while often remarkable, was achieved through painstaking, laborious effort, leaving behind characteristic tool marks and imperfections that speak to the struggle of human hands against intractable stone. This progression, a slow but steady march of ingenuity, forms the accepted timeline of ancient engineering. But here, beneath the Sahara, the story diverges sharply. The materials themselves, and the way they have been employed, leapfrog centuries, perhaps millennia, of this supposed gradual progress. We find no discernible tool marks on many of the megalithic blocks, no evidence of hammer or chisel, no abrasion patterns from sand and water cutting. Instead, surfaces are incredibly smooth, almost polished, and edges meet with an exactitude that suggests a level of precision we associate with modern laser cutting or computer-aided milling. Some of the composite materials appear to be chemically bonded, displaying a resilience and uniformity that hints at an advanced understanding of material science, far beyond the capabilities of an early Bronze Age society. It's as if a civilization arrived on the scene with knowledge that simply shouldn't have existed at that point in human history. What, then, are we to make of this profound technological chasm? Alternative theories begin to emerge, each more intriguing than the last. Could it be that this Saharan civilization possessed a lost, advanced technology? Some researchers speculate about forgotten chemical processes, perhaps a form of geopolymer concrete that allowed them to synthesize and cast stone-like structures on an unimaginable scale, mimicking natural rock with superior properties. Others wonder if they had discovered unknown energy sources, perhaps harnessing a form of resonant frequency or acoustic levitation to manipulate and shape materials with ease, negating the need for brute force. The sheer scale of some of the structures, the perfectly aligned massive blocks, hints at a power source beyond anything we typically attribute to the ancient world. If they could mold and move such impossible weights, what other secrets of physics did they unlock? Beyond the raw materials, the artifacts unearthed within the city's depths tell another tale of technological prowess that challenges known ancient tool capabilities. Intricate carvings in incredibly hard stone, such as obsidian and diorite, display minute details and uniform depths that would be almost impossible to achieve with bronze or even early iron tools. Perfectly spherical objects, hollowed-out vessels with incredibly thin walls, and precise boreholes through granite suggest the use of rotary tools operating at high speed and with diamond-hard bits, or perhaps even ultrasonic vibration. There are even fragmented ceramic pieces, fired at temperatures far exceeding what ancient kilns were thought capable of, displaying molecular structures that hint at advanced pyrotechnology. The mainstream explanation for such anomalies, when they appear in more conventional sites, often points to an exceptionally skilled craftsman, painstaking labor, or perhaps a unique, isolated cultural innovation. The argument is that given enough time and effort, even rudimentary tools can produce astonishing results. The slow, patient work of generations perfecting a technique. But again, the moment arrives with undeniable force. The sheer prevalence of these sophisticated techniques throughout the Saharan city, from the grandest public buildings to the most mundane domestic artifacts, suggests not an isolated genius, but a widespread and integrated technological culture. The consistency of precision, the uniformity of cuts and finishes, speaks not to individual artisanal brilliance, but to standardized tools and methods, implying an industrial scale of production. The complexity of some of the mechanisms found, even in fragments, suggests an understanding of gears, levers, and torque that would require significant mechanical insight, far beyond simple agricultural implements. This isn't just a few anomalies. It's a consistent pattern of technological leaps that don't fit into the established chronological order of human innovation. This leads to a fascinating array of alternative theories. What if this civilization had mastered forms of precision machining that relied on principles we are only now rediscovering? Could they have understood principles of magnetism, or even rudimentary electrical currents, enabling them to create tools that could cut or shape materials with unprecedented efficiency? Some researchers even entertain the idea of advanced optics, perhaps using lenses and mirrors to focus solar energy for cutting or heating, or even for communication. The existence of such artifacts in this forgotten city compels us to consider that our current understanding of ancient human capabilities may be profoundly underestimated, or that some branch of human technological evolution was simply lost. And as we ponder the technologies of this Saharan enigma, we cannot help but look across the globe, searching for echoes, for whispers of similar impossible feats. The precise polygonal masonry of Pumapunku in Bolivia, with its perfectly interlocking stones and drill holes that seem to defy ancient tooling. The colossal, perfectly cut megaliths of Baalbek in Lebanon, moved and placed with unimaginable power. The undeniable accuracy of certain Egyptian structures, where granite is cut and polished to tolerances that rival modern standards. These sites, geographically disparate, culturally distinct, yet share a common thread of engineering and material science that confounds mainstream archaeology. The conventional explanation posits that these are all independent developments, testaments to the universal ingenuity of humankind. Each civilization, in its own time and place, developed its unique solutions to building challenges, with occasional limited contact and knowledge exchange over vast distances. There is no overarching connection, just parallel evolution. Yet the moment here is compelling. The striking similarities in specific anomalous construction techniques, the absence of tool marks, the impossible precision, the manipulation of materials considered intractable, across such widely separated locations hint at something more. Could it be that there was a precursor civilization, a global network of knowledge keepers, or even a single, advanced culture that existed long before our accepted timelines, sharing or disseminating foundational technological principles? Could the Sahara city be a missing link, a forgotten piece of a larger puzzle, indicating an interconnected ancient world that mainstream history has yet to acknowledge? Or perhaps, as some more speculative theories suggest, these technological leaps were not solely human in origin, implying a deeper, more complex narrative of influence or inspiration from sources beyond our current understanding. As we delve into the materials and methods of this lost Saharan city, the questions multiply. If this civilization could synthesize unknown materials, precisely cut and move massive blocks, and craft artifacts with what appears to be advanced machining, then how did they achieve such a mastery over their environment? What were their energy sources? What knowledge of physics, chemistry, and engineering did they possess that has vanished without a trace? The silent ruins beneath the sand are not just a testament to a forgotten people, but a profound challenge to our entire understanding of human technological evolution, inviting us to ponder just how much of our past remains hidden, waiting to be rediscovered. Such precision, such ingenuity, speaks of a civilization at its zenith. The sophisticated water systems, the enduring architecture, the enigmatic tools we've explored, all paint a vivid portrait of a thriving, advanced society. Yet, the story of this desert city takes a turn as sudden as it is profound. For all its monumental achievements and complex life, this civilization didn't merely decline, it vanished. The physical evidence unearthed beneath the Sahara's unforgiving surface tells a curious and unsettling tale of abrupt abandonment. Unlike many ancient cities that bear the scars of gradual decay, successive occupations, or slow, agonizing decline, this site presents a tableau of frozen time. Tools lie where they were last used, hearths contain remnants of final meals, and workshops hold half-finished projects. It is as if the city's pulse stopped instantly, without warning, leaving behind the ghost of everyday life. Archaeologists describe finding residential areas still filled with personal effects, markets with goods seemingly awaiting buyers, and public squares suddenly empty. There are no signs of prolonged siege, no widespread evidence of a devastating battle, no massive burial grounds indicating a catastrophic plague that decimated the population within the city limits. The structures show no widespread signs of gradual dilapidation or slow collapse. Rather, they seem to have been simply and dramatically deserted. It's an eerie silence preserved in stone and sand, a snapshot of life interrupted in its prime. For many years, the conventional understanding of ancient city abandonment in challenging environments like the Sahara revolved around gradual processes. Mainstream archaeological theories often point to centuries-long shifts, prolonged droughts leading to resource depletion, slow societal breakdown due to internal strife, or the slow, inexorable advance of an encroaching desert forcing generations to migrate over time. History offers numerous examples of cities experiencing a slow exodus as their environment becomes less hospitable, their trade routes diminish, or their political power wanes, leaving behind a gradual layering of neglect and eventual ruin. This slow decay leaves a distinct archaeological signature, often marked by declining quality of craftsmanship, dwindling populations, and clear evidence of resource scarcity. But here, beneath the sands, the evidence presents a significant problem for this gradualist view. The archaeological strata consistently suggest not a slow decline, but a startlingly rapid, possibly catastrophic, end to the civilization. The layers of sand that engulf the city tell their own story, indicating sudden and massive deposits, sometimes even covering entire structures in a relatively short geological timeframe. It wasn't merely the slow accumulation of desert dust over millennia. There are indications of overwhelming environmental forces that swept through with devastating speed. The distinct lack of transitional phases, of smaller, less significant settlements or outposts slowly fading away, points to a definitive, immediate cessation of urban life. The city was vibrant one moment, and gone the next, swallowed by forces seemingly beyond its control. This sudden void in the historical record has led researchers to explore a range of more dramatic alternative theories for the city's demise. Could it have been a swift and devastating climate collapse? Some scientists propose that localized, extreme shifts in weather patterns, perhaps an intensification of the African monsoon or a sudden reversal of it, could have triggered widespread ecological devastation in a matter of decades, rather than centuries. Imagine, if you will, a critical aquifer suddenly drying up, or a series of unprecedented superstorms turning fertile lands into impassable dunes almost overnight, making advanced water management systems, however ingenious, utterly useless. Other theories venture into the realm of geological upheaval. What if a sudden, violent seismic event, perhaps a massive earthquake, or a series of tremors, not only destroyed infrastructure but also catastrophically altered the water table, redirecting crucial rivers or causing underground springs to vanish? While evidence of widespread seismic destruction isn't immediately obvious, the vastness of the Sahara means that such events, even if distant, could have had profound and rapid effects on the delicate balance of life in this region, especially on a civilization so reliant on specific hydrological systems. Some even consider the possibility of ancient volcanic activity, perhaps from distant but powerful eruptions, drastically altering global or regional climate patterns, bringing about a sudden desert storm that buried the city in its tracks. And then, there are the truly enigmatic possibilities. What if the disappearance was, in some sense, a deliberate act? Could a society possessing such advanced understanding and perhaps even technologies we cannot yet comprehend, have orchestrated its own removal from the historical stage? This highly speculative theory suggests a deliberate sealing or migration that was so complete, so intentional, that it left no trace. Such an idea might seem fantastical, but when faced with an utter lack of conventional evidence for migration or natural catastrophe, some minds inevitably wander to the most extraordinary explanations, especially when confronted with the city's sophisticated past. Did they choose to leave, to disappear, perhaps retreating to another, as yet undiscovered, hidden haven? This brings us to the most poignant and unsettling question of all: what became of the inhabitants? If the city was emptied so suddenly, where did its people go? The conventional archaeological record, when dealing with mass migrations or population displacements, typically leaves behind identifiable clues. There might be a sudden increase in population or the appearance of new cultural elements in neighboring regions, indicating an influx of refugees. Yet, for this desert civilization, there is a striking absence of such clear migration trails. No definitive evidence of a mass exodus has been found leading out of the region, nor are there immediate, conclusive links to populations that suddenly adopted the unique technologies or architectural styles of the buried city. Did they simply succumb to the catastrophic environmental shift, perishing en masse, their bodies consumed by the relentless sands or scattered beyond recognition? Or did they, as some researchers cautiously suggest, scatter so widely and completely, assimilating into countless smaller groups, that their unique cultural identity was diffused and ultimately lost? The idea of an entire advanced population vanishing without a clear trace leaves a gaping hole in our understanding of history. Did they become the ancestors of nomadic tribes whose own origins are now obscured by the desert's shifting dunes? Or was their fate more final, a complete extinction that erased not just the city, but a people, from the world? The desert itself then emerges as a paradoxical character in this unfolding mystery. It was the force that brought about the civilization's end, yet it was also the very preserver of its secrets, for millennia. The sand, while destructive in its initial onslaught, quickly became a protective blanket, creating an anaerobic, stable environment that prevented the decay of organic materials and shielded structures from the ravages of time, erosion, and subsequent human interference. Without the desert's embrace, the city would have crumbled to dust, its story lost forever. Mainstream perspectives on deserts often view them as hostile environments, relentless destroyers that scatter evidence and make archaeological work incredibly challenging. Wind erosion grinds down stone, shifting dunes bury and unbury sites erratically, and extreme temperature fluctuations accelerate the breakdown of materials. But in this unique case, the desert's embrace became a tomb, not merely a grave. It sealed the city away, protecting it from the very elements that would otherwise erase it, and from the passage of human history. The rapid burial, while catastrophic for its inhabitants, created a perfect time capsule, preserving structures, artifacts, and even mundane aspects of daily life, almost perfectly intact. Could there be a deeper meaning to this paradox? Some wonder if the desert, in its cyclical nature, is not just a destroyer but also a periodic revealer of history, a natural mechanism for the ebb and flow of civilizations. Does it periodically swallow societies whole, only to one day, through its relentless shifting, bring them back into the light of human consciousness? Is the Sahara merely a silent witness to forgotten epochs, or does it hold a deeper, cyclical role in the rise and fall of civilizations, both hiding and revealing the profound mysteries of our ancient past? The question lingers, carried on the desert wind. What other secrets lie entombed beneath the vastness of the sand, waiting for their moment to be unveiled? The desert, in its silent, sweeping vastness, has long been considered a frontier, a boundary, or even a blank space on the map of human civilization. For millennia, its immense stretches were believed to be inhospitable to the complex urban societies we identify as the hallmarks of early progress. Yet, the revelations emerging from beneath its golden dunes now force us to confront a history far richer, and profoundly more unsettling, than any textbook has dared to imagine. The very existence of this remarkable Saharan metropolis, with its intricate layout and evidence of advanced planning, stands as an impossibly massive anomaly against the backdrop of our established historical narratives. Our conventional understanding of human history posits a relatively linear progression, from scattered hunter-gatherer groups, evolving slowly into agricultural communities, then gradually coalescing into the first urban centers. These cradles of civilization, we are taught, emerged primarily in fertile river valleys, the Nile, the Tigris and Euphrates, the Indus, where access to water and arable land fostered the necessary conditions for large-scale settlement and societal complexity. It is within these familiar geographical confines that we have drawn the timelines of urban genesis, mapping the slow, steady march of human ingenuity. But there is a profound problem with this explanation. The Saharan city, in its very essence, contradicts this neatly ordered chronology and geography. It reveals that sophisticated urbanism did not solely arise in predictable, resource-rich riverine environments, nor did it necessarily follow the gradual, step-by-step development we have meticulously charted. Its placement, its scale, its seeming advancement in an environment now considered hostile, demands a radical re-evaluation of every timeline, every map, and every assumption we hold about the dawn of civilization. Could it be that humanity's journey was not a single, continuous thread, but a tapestry woven with many forgotten strands, some reaching back into epochs we have yet to properly conceive? This singular discovery opens the door to a host of alternative theories, each more challenging to the status quo than the last. Some researchers now cautiously suggest that our understanding of prehistory is not merely incomplete, but fundamentally flawed, missing entire chapters of innovation and cultural flowering. Perhaps, they argue, pockets of advanced civilization arose independently in various unexpected corners of the globe, each responding to unique environmental conditions that have since dramatically changed. Or, could it be that humanity experienced a series of global golden ages, advanced periods that waxed and waned, with most of their achievements lost to cataclysm or the slow erosion of time, leaving only enigmatic echoes for future generations to puzzle over? If our foundational narrative of civilization's origins is now proven incomplete, what other monumental stories have we overlooked, buried beneath the weight of our own certainties? The mainstream archaeological paradigm, carefully constructed over centuries, relies on a framework of specific cradles of civilization, from which urban life and complex societal structures are believed to have spread. These established epicenters, Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, early China, and later Mesoamerica and the Andes, form the pillars of our historical understanding, guiding where we look for evidence and how we interpret ancient migrations and innovations. The prevailing view suggests a largely independent, if sometimes interconnected, development within these distinct regions, with knowledge and technology slowly diffusing outward. But the Saharan city presents a staggering challenge to this very framework, acting as an impossible outlier that defies easy categorization or assimilation into existing models. Its very existence outside these hallowed cradles, potentially predating some of them in its organizational complexity and scale, casts a long shadow of doubt on the universality of the cradle theory. It forces a stark choice. Either this city represents an entirely independent, parallel leap in urban development on a scale we previously thought impossible for its time and place, or it points to a more interconnected ancient world than mainstream archaeology has been willing to entertain. Could it be, as some researchers now speculate, that there was a far more extensive, perhaps even global, network of ancient cultures? A network that facilitated the exchange of ideas, technologies, and even populations across vast distances, long before we believed such interactions were possible? This perspective posits a diffusionist model, not as a simple one-way spread from a single point, but as a complex web of cultural exchange, where innovation could emerge in multiple places and then be shared and adapted. Others ponder the possibility of what might be termed multiple origins, for sophisticated urbanism, where various human groups, across different continents and climates, achieved similar developmental milestones independently, but were then lost to history. Does this unprecedented discovery in the Sahara signal that the entire map of humanity's civilizational journey needs to be redrawn, complete with new chapters emerging in the most unexpected of places? The discovery of this massive, meticulously planned city, hidden beneath the Sahara's unforgiving sands for untold millennia, now compels a truly unsettling question. If such an immense and sophisticated civilization could vanish without a trace, eluding detection for so long, what else lies hidden? Our traditional archaeological methodology, while incredibly effective, often operates within predictable frameworks, searching for evidence where it is most expected, in known historical regions, along ancient trade routes, or near reliable water sources. Large-scale, entirely unknown urban centers, particularly in environments like the Sahara, have largely been considered anomalies too improbable to actively seek. But the triumphant emergence of this Saharan city, brought to light by the very cutting edge of modern detection technologies and a willingness to look beyond established assumptions, shatters that complacency. It brutally reminds us of the vast, unexplored stretches of our planet and the powerful, obliterating forces of nature, sand, ice, ocean, that can erase even the grandest human endeavors from conscious memory. The sheer scale of Earth's unexamined land masses, combined with the profound transformations wrought by geological and climatic change over millennia, makes it not just possible, but highly probable, that countless other significant ancient sites lie concealed. This realization fuels the imagination of those who speak of blank spots on the map of history, not just geographically, but chronologically. Could there be other forgotten empires beneath the Amazonian rainforests, lost cities swallowed by the Antarctic ice sheets, or intricate urban networks submerged beneath rising sea levels, their stories awaiting the right combination of technology and curiosity? Ancient texts, myths, and oral traditions from cultures around the world often speak of widespread, highly advanced peoples and catastrophic events that wipe them from memory, narratives often dismissed as mere legend. But what if these weren't mere fables, but fragmented echoes of a far more complex and turbulent past? How many more marvels of ancient engineering, how many more profound societal experiments, might still be waiting beneath our feet, ready to completely dismantle everything we think we know? The implications of the Saharan city extend beyond mere archaeological curiosity. They challenge our very perception of ourselves and our place in the grand tapestry of time. If our understanding of historical progression is challenged, if the notion of isolated cradles of civilization is proven insufficient, and if the potential for numerous lost histories is now undeniable, then the overarching narrative of human endeavor itself requires re-examination. Could this city, with its advanced features and mysterious disappearance, be undeniable proof of a truly interconnected ancient world, one where ideas and innovations traveled across vast distances with a speed and efficiency we previously attributed only to more recent eras? Or perhaps it stands as a stark testament to the cyclical nature of human civilization, a pattern of advanced cultures rising, flourishing, and then inevitably falling, their achievements swallowed by the sands of time or the forces of nature, leaving only cryptic remnants for those who follow? The very questions sparked by this profound discovery resonate with a timeless wonder. Was humanity always more capable, more globally connected, and more prone to grand cycles of ascendancy and decline than we have ever dared to admit? As the sands of the Sahara continue their slow, relentless drift, perpetually revealing and concealing the secrets they hold, we are left not with answers, but with a renewed sense of profound wonder. The story of humanity, it seems, is far from fully told. The discovery beneath the desert reminds us that the past is a dynamic, living entity, capable of reshaping our present and redefining our future with every grain of sand that shifts, with every echo of a lost world that finally breaks through the silence. What other grand narratives lie patiently awaiting their moment, hidden beneath the ice, the deserts, and the waves, ready to fundamentally alter our understanding of who we are, where we come from, and where we might yet go? The greatest mysteries, it appears, are not found in the distant stars, but lie buried just beneath the surface of our own world.